Hello everyone, and welcome. Let's get started, shall we? Monsoon-drenched and bathed in tropical warmth, the land of Myanmar has been settled for eons, and in those ancient times, the early inhabitants did what many ancients did, painting pictures in caves mostly of the animals they hunted like bison and deer. As the centuries slid by, the people learned metalworking and rice cultivation, which remains the country's most vital crop. Big changes came in the 100s BC, when Tibeto-Burman language speakers migrated into the region. Buddhism arrived from India and gradually spread, becoming the dominant religion, which it still is. Things got quite shaken up in the mid-8th century, when the non-Jao kingdom from southern China invaded Myanmar. Amidst this chaos, the Burma people entered the land, also known as the Burmese or Myanmars, who today are the largest ethnic group in the country. The Burma established the Bagan kingdom, which rose in power and influence. Rana, who conquered, unified, reformed, and fended off the Khmer Empire of Cambodia. Over the next centuries, the kingdom flourished, and thousands of temples were built in the glittering capital of Bagan, including this magnificent structure built during the reign of King Zitha. Then, as always happens, the state began to weaken and decay. Financial troubles, internal strife, and external threats, including a disastrous Mongol invasion that ended the dynasty. Myanmar splintered into smaller states, one of which surprisingly defeated a second Mongol invasion anyway. The era of division lasted until the 1500s, when a certain king emerged. He went out and conquered an empire, and although he ended up a miserable drunk who was assassinated, he was succeeded by the brilliant and capable Bainong, who conquered even more, carving out a significant state covering a large part of Southeast Asia, which, following an old historical pattern, began to decline after its greatest leader's death. Myanmar would not be united again until the rise of the Kambong dynasty, founded by this guy here, who spent most of his reign at war, conquering and quelling rebellions, taking merciless steps to ensure the Mande-speaking peoples of the south would never threaten Burmese rule again. The following years saw more conflict, defeating Siam in this war, thwarting Qing dynasty China's attempt to conquer them by winning this war here. Then more war with Siam. Burmese expansion into northeast India alarmed the British, who were entrenched in that country, not pleased with the prospect of local conquering competitors. So there was war, and then there was another, but then there was yet another war. Britain won all three and conquered Burma, and the Burmese were naturally very upset. Rebellions were brutally crushed, railways were built, agriculture was intensified, and migrant workers from India were brought in who labored for lower pay, displacing many Burmese. Then the British themselves were displaced when the Japanese invaded during World War II, a devastating time that saw many thousands of Burmese killed. Finally, in 1948, the country achieved independence and began to rebuild, and Burmese diplomat U Thant became Secretary General of the UN. Meanwhile, trouble was brewing over Burma. Crime was high and the government unpopular, so there was a military coup that established a single-party dictatorship. Of course, there was the military, proved even more inept at governance. Poverty rose, and there were protests and protests, until in 1988 a massive protest erupted. Instead of democracy, a different dictatorship took over. In 1989, the country's name was changed to Myanmar, and in 1990, elections were held in which the party of the highly popular Aung San Suu Kyi, daughter of a hero of Burmese independence, easily won. So the dictatorship annulled the results and placed her under house arrest. In 2007, Myanmar erupted in the Saffron Revolution, with protesting monks on the front lines before reforms could be implemented. However, the worst natural disaster in Myanmar's history struck, a monstrous cyclone that claimed over 130,000 lives. In 2011, the government began some reformatory changes. Aung San Suu Kyi was released, and in 2015 her party won the elections and she became the country's leader. But then Myanmar returned to the headlines for the wrong reasons again, with the Rohingya genocide. The Rohingya Muslims, who for decades have faced persecution by Buddhist nationalists and the government itself. Violence and killings forced over 8 million Rohingya to flee their homes as refugees. most going to neighboring Bangladesh. Then in 2020, one Aung San Suu Kyi was arrested again and surprised. The military took control of the country again, so that's the topsy-turvy tale of what was once called Burma, now called Myanmar, even though the people are still called Burmese, and whose capital has changed to Naypyidaw from Yangon, which used to be called Rangoon. Myanmar today, with a medium level of human development, faces significant hurdles to improvement, and we wish this beautiful, pagoda-rich country a swift journey to better times and better governance. But until then, it's bye from me for now. Bye-bye.